I'll start off. Thank you all for being here today. I'll start off by giving you a brief on what I have and then answer all the questions that you have if I can. I want to start off by saying that the individuals behind me are really the ones that are credited with the work here at the Sheriff's Office. To my right is Animal Control Officer Queen, who has worked diligently in the last 2 days to collect the animals at this trailer, and she's still working on trapping some outstanding cats. And then to my left is Detective Polizzi, who used to be an animal control officer, now she's a detective. So she does a phenomenal job of doing dual duty investigating cases and then helping animal control with their cases. So we received information some time ago, within the last week, that a 12-year-old female was in a class here at a local nonprofit church. And the church was actually being proactive, doing a class on human trafficking and talking about the signs of human trafficking. And one of the teachers noticed that one of the pupils, a 12-year-old girl, was taken back, acting a little bit different. So the teacher, in keeping with the class actually, took this girl aside, interviewed her, and learned that she had been exposed to by an individual in the Monterey section over here in Stewart. That teacher reached out to our detectives, Detective Polizzi, who's behind me, who started a criminal investigation on the case. Detective Polizzi learned that this female was living in the neighborhood also at that time, was 11 years old, and had purchased a puppy from this individual or suspect. The puppy escaped, ran back to the trailer where the mom was, and was playing with the other puppies and the mom when this little girl went to retrieve her dog. She went to the trailer. Again, this has been a year ago now. Went to the trailer and asked our suspect if her puppy was there, and he said, yes, it's in the back room. Go ahead on in my trailer and you can get your puppy. As she went into his trailer, she said that he started to massage her shoulders and touch her without her permission, at which point she said she didn't want any part of it, but she was afraid of him at the same time. She went back, got her puppy, turned to come back outside of the trailer, and saw that he was now standing there without his pants on, exposing his genitalia to her. He asked her at that point to touch him, and she said no, and he just said, please, I'm a lonely man. And thankfully her mom started yelling for her outside of the trailer and gave her an out to run out of the door. As she was exiting the trailer, she was threatened by him, and he said, if you tell anyone, I will kill your father. So for the last year, she's been carrying this burden in her mind of having a neighbor who had made sexual advances on her and was potentially doing that to other neighbors. Detective Polizzi went out, did an interview with the suspect along with some other detectives, and learned that this individual initially denied, and then eventually he said, oh yes, I was drunk and my pants just fell down. But it was enough for our detectives to make an arrest and put this individual in our jail on a $200,000 bond. During the case, it was noted and noticed that there were a lot of animals there. And so when the arrest took place, we were pretty confident that the suspect would not be able to bond out on a $200,000 bond. So Animal Control made arrangements to retrieve these animals for safekeeping to make sure that they were cared for. To date, we have 28 animals, 14 dogs, 7 cats so far. I know that number's going up, and 7 chickens. The animals themselves were fairly well taken care of considering the living conditions that they were in. No running electricity, but it's our understanding that the neighbors kind of pitched in and made sure that those animals were cared for. And it's our belief now, and we're asking for your help, because it's our belief that this suspect, this defendant now that's sitting in our jail, used these puppies to get other kids, other children to come to that trailer, play with the puppies where he could advance his perverted behavior. So we have had some verbal information that there are other victims out there, and we really are trying to reach out to the community, specifically the Spanish community, to get them to come forward and allow us to do our job and help them as they process what may have happened to them. One more thing on the animals, if I didn't touch on already. They were not in poor shape, surprisingly, considering the conditions. So the Humane Society has them. They'll hold them for 10 days. If the suspect defendant doesn't make arrangements for someone to pick them up, then they will start adopting those animals out. So with that, I will answer any questions that I can.
Hey John, could you explain a little bit more about what led you to believe that he was using these puppies as possible lures to children?
Yes, so we've had several neighborhood people come and say, hey, there's some different things going on there, a lot of children coming to the trailer, but we've had one female specifically who told another person that, yes, he tried to get me there by using these puppies to get us to come to his trailer. And then, of course, our victim said as much.
Was that female also a child?
Is a child, yes. Now, we're trying to track that back. There's a lot of hearsay going on in the neighborhood. Of course, I can't speak to that. We're dealing with fact, but we're trying to track all that information back. And again, we need your help trying to get these victims to come forward.
And now the man who was arrested, Nunez-Arias, how long has he lived in that neighborhood and been sort of dealing puppies like
14
this?
years.
Yes, so he's been in the neighborhood, the Monterey section, for quite some time. He's been dealing with these puppies, according to our animal control people and our detectives, for 14 years. Yes.
Any possible victims, you mentioned that there could be more. Are you expecting them to come from that same neighborhood? I mean, how big of a radius are we talking? How much reach did he have?
The Monterey section is a small neighborhood, so we're expecting our victims to come from there. But again, we don't really know. So if anybody has had encounters with this individual, we're going to give you his name and his picture. He is distinct, so if you've seen him, you'll remember who he is.
What kind of person does something like this?
An absolute pervert is the only word I can come to. Not just a pervert, just a psychopathic pervert, somebody that would lure kids in and use animals to advance their own sexual appetite. There's not enough adjectives to describe his level of a despicable human being.
And the 14 years he's been there, he's been doing the same thing, puppy dealing, and so I guess that's a two-part question. One, he's been sort of having this business almost of selling puppies, and two, is that at this point illegal? Isn't there like a process to adopt dogs? And I don't know what's the legality of the puppy selling itself. I don't, so.
The answer to some of that, Mauricio, is I don't know the answer to all of that. I know he's been a kind of a backyard puppy dealer. He's been doing it for a period of time, but I don't know all the ins and outs of that. I would have to actually consult with these two ladies that are standing behind me.
So to be clear, at this point, it's not really necessarily considered a puppy mill. It's part of the investigation, or?
At this point, the charge involving the children is so significant that the others are kind of a secondary issue. Our number one concern is the safety of these children and trying to make them whole as best we can.
And why, since the affidavit said that the girl said, he was touching her side, her stomach within the bedroom and all, there were no charges that could be brought in terms of molestation, or is that because he did not confess to that?
He did not to go too graphic, but he did not cross the line of touching inappropriate spots, although we know, based on what his actions were, that he was trying to work his way in that direction.
Now, you said it was kids. Does that mean that it was all girls, or was there boys and girls involved in this?
So far, the only ones that we have dealt with are female girls, children.
And the age range of those kids, are they younger, elementary school age, middle school, maybe teenagers?
So this could have been going on for some time. We don't know the answer to that. So the victim that we have now is 12 years old. He's been in the neighborhood for 14 years. There could be victims that are adults now. We don't know that. So regardless of the age, we want to talk to you if you are out there and vet this out and bring more charges and bring justice.
And can you bring charges for a victim potentially that this happened to 14, 13, 12 years ago? That's, more than a decade has passed?
We can, depending on the exact charge, but we can for some of these charges, yes.
And so to be clear, there was one confirmed victim that actually was molested, one who said she was approached but not actually touched.
We have one that we made the arrest on, and then we have another, I would say a rumored victim that has not come forward to law enforcement. She has come forward to other individuals that are adults, and we're trying to track them back. Now keep in mind, we are dealing with a migrant community, and they're afraid of law enforcement. So we're trying to break through. That's why they were in that class, was to break through the barriers and explain, if this is going on in your neighborhood or in your house, please let law enforcement know and they'll help you. We're dealing with that problem also. We commend the church. They did an excellent job. But we're trying to break through that and help them who are afraid of us as law enforcement, unfortunately.
And were the animals freely roaming the trailer? What was their situation?
They had a good life as far as in and out. So he had set up this makeshift fence made out of all kinds of different apparatuses around his trailer. The electricity was not running in the trailer, so the animals were able to come and go in and out of the trailer as they saw fit. So you can imagine in the summertime, it's hot in there. The living conditions were, as you can imagine, but they almost roamed the yard and the trailer freely.
Looking at the trailer, it looks like it has a lot of kids' toys on the outside. Was that also potentially used to lure kids in?
So that's alarming to us. We did notice that also. You can see there's like sitting areas where small children are intended to sit to watch and play with the puppies. So that is our fear, that was set up in order to get kids in there to have that happen, yes.
Now, do you know where Nunez-Arias was before he came to Stewart? Was he still a Martin County resident? Was he out of the country? Was he in the state of Florida? Any information on his time before the 14 years here?
It's my understanding that he's been here in Martin County for 44 years. His specific addresses, I'm not sure. And he was born in the 40s, so I don't know where he was in the first part of his life.
But for
He
almost
came
50.
from Miami.
Miami.
He's here 14 years.
Miami, okay.
Yeah.
So he was in Miami before Stewart, and he's been in Florida
Yes.
for about 44 years. Then.
Yes.
Okay.
Good? Good. Thank you all. We appreciate your time.
Thank you so much.